Hello 8th grade algebra students. This video is to go over your test and then to also explain how you are going to retake. So everyone's going to watch this video from start to finish, and then if you want to retake, you will do the con practice for each learning target that you need to retake or want to retake, and then schedule a time to either practice more if you still don't understand what you're doing, or retake if you're good, I know what my mistakes were, I'm ready to retake. Schedule that time with your teacher either during 5th or 6th hour, homeroom on Thursdays, or possibly before or after school, but you need to talk to them. Okay? Again, everybody should watch this video though, start to finish, to go over your test questions. For learning target 1, you'll watch me go through the test questions, and then you need to master these con skills that are down here. So on con, you will just search. So if I'm doing rates and proportional relationships, on your con you will search for rates and proportional relationships, and it should pop up as one of your top results. Once you see it, click on it, and then you're going to work on those problems. Now, once you get 5 in a row, it'll give you an option to practice more. Do that. Practice more until it gives you a master challenge, okay? So let's take a look at the test problems. On the test, you were asked to find the rate of change for each of these graphs. Now, a couple of them, you can just count boxes. So from here to here, we go up 3, and over 2, your slope should have been 3 halves. Here, if you notice, from this point to this point, we go up from 3 to 12. So we go up 9, and we go over from -4 to -2. So our slope there should have been 9 over 2, and a lot of people just put 3 over 1. Here we go down from 1 to -1, so that's down 2, and over from -2 to +1. That's a run of 3, so our slope is -2/3. I had some people scale it so that the change from here to here would be 4. So maybe they did 4 to 8. And then the change from here to here would be 1. So a lot of people did 1/3, 2/3, 1, and then 1 and 1/3. So that would work. I had other people make a larger scale, so I think right from here to here maybe went up 24, and then they made it so from here to here went up 6. So there were a lot of different ways you could scale that, but you needed this difference to be 4, and this difference, or to be a multiple of 4, to be a multiple of 1. And so that was the basic premise of that question. For learning target 2, if you're going to retake, these are the 2 skills that you need to search for in the search bar and then master before you move on, or before you can retake. So you need to master these 2 skills. Let's take a look at the test questions. You were asked to find the rate of change from a table. And so to do that, we're going to do our change in y over our change in x. From 8 to -13, we have a change. We're going down 21. From -13 to -34, again, we're going down 21. From 5 to 12, we're going up 7. And from 12 to 19, we're going up 7. So that's -21 over 7, which reduces to -3 over 1, or just -3. Here, our change in y is 3, and then 3 again. Our change in x is a +6, and then a +6 again. So that reduces to 1/2. So 3 over 6 reduced to 1/2. Here, our change in y from 8 to 12 is 4. From 12 to 20 is 8. From 11 to 5 is a -6, and and from 5 to -7 is a -12. Either way, these all reduce, so 4 over -6 is equivalent to 8 over -12, which reduces to 2/3, and the fraction being negative. So -2/3 should have been your slope there. And finally, going down 3 and then down 6, along with going down 9 and down 18, we have a rate of change of -3 over -9 or -6 over -18, all reduced down to, or both reduced down to 1/3. Okay, and I'm not going to go over the exceeding question for that one, but we'll move on to Learning Target 3. If you're retaking Learning Target 3, you need to search on Khan for these 3 skills and master them. So take that, what I have written here, write it in here in your search bar and master those topics. If we look at the test questions, you guys were asked to graph these equations. So the first one starts at -8, so 2, 4, 6, 8, and then goes up 5 and over 3, or we can go up 5 and over 3 again, and your line should have gone through those points. Look to something like that. For the second one, you start at 7, and we're going down 1 over 2. So it looks something like this. For the third one, this is the one that got most people. We have, if we're thinking y equals m times x plus b, we have an m here, guys. So a lot of people thought this was a horizontal line at y equals 3, but it's not. Y equals 3x. 3x is a fraction, or 3 can be a fraction, so we're going to start at the origin since we don't have a y-intercept, and we're going to go up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. And this one was the one that tricked people up on this learning target. So when you have a slope and you don't have a y-intercept, you can assume you start at the origin. It's when you don't have an x, so you don't have an m times x, that's when you have the horizontal lines, okay? And then finally, the last one, we start at 5 and we go down 2 and over 5, down 2 and over 5. Your graph should have looked like this. Moving on to the learning target 4 retakes. If you are retaking this, you are putting these 4 skills, yes 4, you have to master all 4 of them into Khan and working on those before you can retake. Okay, come find your teacher, say I've worked on all 4 of these skills, I'm very confident, or I need more help, I'm not getting this at all, and we will help you or we will let you retake. So let's look at the test questions that went with this. For the first one, we know that these are in standard form because that's what Learning Target 4 is. So when we have in standard form, if C is divisible by both A and B, then you can just find the x and y intercepts. So what we can do here is we can say, okay, if x is 0, then what's y? Well, we'd have 6y equals 12, so if we divide by 6, then the y-intercept is going to be 2. So that means the point 0, 2 is on our graph. And in the same way, if y is 0, then 6 times 0 equals 0, and we have 4x equals 12. So we divide by 4, and x-intercept would be 3. So we know the point 3, 0 would also be on the graph. And so your line should have gone through those 2 points and looked something like that. Okay, I'm going to move on to the other ones where we can find the x and y-intercept. Here, if x were 0, then y is going to be -9, because negative y equals 9, then positive y equals -9. And if y were 0, then 3x equals 9, divide by 3, and 1x would equal 3. So the point 3, 0 is also on this graph, and your line should have gone like that. Finally, we can do the same thing over here. If we have x equals 0 over here, then -8x times 0 is 0. And we can divide by 4, and the y-intercept is going to be at -2. And then if y is 0, then -8x equals -8. So then, or -8x, yeah. So x, if we divide by -8, will equal 1. So the point 1, 0 is also going to be on this graph. And we can see there that our slope is 2/1. So our line should have looked like that. Now, number 2 is tricky because 15 is divisible by 5, but is not evenly divisible by 2. So what we could do here is we can turn it into a slope-intercept form equation. So we can turn it into something like y equals mx plus b. We do that by getting y by itself. So isolating y by subtracting 2x from both sides. And then we end up with 5y equals -2x plus 15. If we divide by 5, then we have y equals -2/5 x plus 3, which means our y-intercept is going to be at 3, and then from there we're going to go down 2 and over 5, down 2 over 5. And some people I saw on the test estimated this x-intercept, which is fine, but this is a precise way to get that because you won't always be have a nice x coefficient of 2. Okay. Learning retakes for number 5. Identifying the slope of a line and line graph intuition are what you're going to search for on Khan and Master before you can retake this learning target. If we go over these are the nice and easy ones where if x equals 5, then that means we go to where x equals 5 and x is always 5. So it's just a straight line up and down at 5. Y equals 3 is a straight line across at 3. X equals 0 is a straight line down at 0 because x is always 0. And y equals -4 is a line across at -4. That one's pretty straightforward. Retakes for LT 6 and 8. If you're going to retake this or these learning targets, you're going to type in these 3 skills onto Khan and master them before coming to your teacher for extra help or to retake. The test questions that went over this, some of them were these 4 contexts here. So the first one was Sarah is saving to purchase an MP3 player that cost $160. She's saving $15 per week. So regardless of what our equations are, our variables here, the independent variable is the number of weeks, and the dependent is Sarah's money. Now, some people said my equation is as simple as y equals $15 per x, and didn't even care about the 160. Some people said, well, I know she needs to get to 160, so the equation would be 160 equals 15x. Some people said y equals 160 minus 15x, where that would be, okay, I'm taking away, I'm getting 15 closer. And some people said negative 15x, positive 15x, excuse me, minus 160, where you're thinking, I'm starting in the hole, I got to get up to 0 before I can get that MP3 player. Okay, any of these are fine. Over here with the altitude and the airplane, our independent variable would be time in seconds, and our dependent variable would be the plane's altitude in feet. The equation would be y equals, we're descending at 400 feet per minute or per second, and we're starting at 5,000 feet. Megan has decided to shovel sidewalks this winter to make money. She has to spend $50 on a shovel, and she charges then $10 per sidewalk. Her variables here, her independent variable would be the number of sidewalks, and the dependent variable would be her profit. The equation would be that she gets $10 per sidewalk minus that $50 that she spent as a startup cost. And then this fourth one was what people had trouble with. So we're looking at a savings account here that was given for Quasi's birthday, okay? And we know that at 3 weeks, she had $85. And at 9 weeks, she had $175. So the independent variable here would be time in weeks. And the dependent variable would be the amount of money saved. And so we have to figure out now, kind of using LT9, how much she increased in money after how many weeks. So she increased from $85 to $175 in money. So that's a change of $90 in 6 weeks, right? So $90 in 6 weeks, well, that's $15 per week. Now, we don't know how much she starts with. She might start with 0, but it said here that he was given some money for his birthday, and I just called him a he or she when he's a he. Sorry, Quasi. So we need to figure out, using our slope of 15, how much money he had to begin with. So I can let's take my 85 and my 3 and plug them into the equation I have so far. So if I take 85, I know he had $85 when he was getting $15 for 3 weeks plus some number b. So that would be 85 equals 45 plus b. So if we minus 45 and minus 45, then b is equal to 40. So he must have gotten $40 for his birthday. All right, so if you're retaking that one, go ahead and get that con work done. If you're not, move on to Learning Target 7. If you're retaking Learning Target 7, you're going to do these 2 skill practices. You're going to search on con for identifying slope, and then once you get it, click on it, master it, and see your teacher to either get more practice or retake. On the test, you were asked to create an equation for these lines. Now, I realize this one didn't copy well on the test, but our nice points here are at 0, 0, and at 9, 6. Okay? Or at 3, 2, and at 6, 4. So it looks like we're going up 2 and over 3. So our equation would be 2/3 x plus, we start at 0, so plus 0, or we can just write y equals 2/3 x. Here we have nice points at 0, 5, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, negative 1. So our equation would be, we're going down 2 and over 1, and we're starting at 5. Here we have nice points at 0, negative 4, and then 4, negative 1. So we are going up 3 and over 4. So our slope is 3/4 x. And then we are starting at a negative 4. So 3/4 x plus a negative 4, or 3/4 x minus 4, whichever way you want to write it. Here I'm thinking this is 1, which means this is 3. And this equation has a slope of 0, so it is y equals 3. The next equation I see is marked at x equals negative 1. And so it has an undefined slope and has an equation of x equals negative 1. The last one here, we tricked you a little bit with this, these different scales. If we go up from this dot to this dot, we go up from 3 to 9. That's an increase of 6. So we increase 6, while we increase from 0 to 6 on the x-axis. So we go up 6 and we go over 6. Even though it doesn't look like it, we go up 6 and over 6, which means that's just 1. So we have 1x plus our y-intercept is 3. All right, so if you're retaking that one, work on those con topics. If you're not, moving on to the last learning target 9. If you're retaking this one, you are going to search on con for these 2 skills and master them before you can retake. And let's take a look at what you guys were supposed to do for learning target 9. You were asked to find or to write an equation for all of the given points. So here we need to label x1, y1, x2, y2, and then we're going to take y2, so 13, minus y1, so 6, over 2x2 minus 0, x1. So that would be 13 minus 6 gives us 7, and 2 minus 0 gives us 2. My slope is 2. My equation then, this one's easy because my intercept is given to me. My equation then is 7 halves times x plus 6. All right, over here, x1, y1, x2, y2. So I have negative 20 minus a negative 8 over 10 minus 6. That's going to be negative 20 plus 8, and that's going to give me a negative 12. 10 minus 6 is going to give me 4, and that's going to reduce to a negative 3. So that's my slope. So now I have negative 3 times x plus some number b that I don't know equals y. I'm going to plug in 6 and negative 8 to this equation. So when y is negative 8, then x is going to be 6. So that means negative 8 is going to equal negative 18 plus b. And so that means if I add 18 to both sides, then I get that 10 equals b, and my final equation would be that y equals negative 3x plus 10. Over here I have my x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to have negative 2 minus a negative 14 over 2 minus 5. Minusing a negative gives me adding. So this is going to be 12 over 3, which is going to reduce to 4. Negative 3, excuse me, so that's a negative 4, which is going to be my m. So my equation so far is y equals negative 4x plus b. So I'm going to plug in a point. Because it's easier, I'm going to plug in negative 2 and 2. So when y is negative 2, I know that negative 4 times 2 will get me there. So plus b. So that's going to be negative 2 is equal to negative 8 plus b. So I'm going to add 8, and 6 is going to equal to b. So y equals negative 4x plus 6 is my equation. Over here, x1, y1, x2, y2, 13 minus 8, and 8 minus 6 is what we have here. So 13 minus 8 gives me 5, 8 minus 6 gives me 2, so that's my slope. So I have y equals 5 halves x plus b. I'm going to use 8 and 6, so when x is 8, then when y is 8, excuse me, then x is 6. And something that I'm realizing not a ton of our 8th graders know is that to multiply a fraction times a whole number, you're just multiplying by 6 over 1, right? And when you have fractions, you can just take 5 times 6, which is going to give us 30, divided by 2, gives us 15. So 15 plus b. So then I'm going to minus 15 on both sides. And so then I'm going to get that negative 7 equals b, right? Because 15 minus 8 gives me 7, so 8 minus 15 is a negative 7. So my final equation will be y equals 5 halves x minus 7. And then the last two get a little tricky. Okay? And so here we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So I have 20 minus 9 over 3 minus 3. And the weird part here is that we get 11 over 0, which cannot happen. 11 over 0 is not a thing. So this has an undefined slope. Okay? And if we graph this, this would be the point 3, 9, and 3, 20. So this is one of those lines that go up and down. So this is going to be the equation x equals, 3. Over here, x1, y1, you might notice that our y's are both the same. So 6 minus 6 over negative 4 minus 80 is going to give us 0 over 84, negative 84, which 0 divided by anything is 0. So our equation here, if we look at the graph of this is the point 86 and negative 4, 6. So that's one of those horizontal lines. So that's the equation y equals 6.